Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Tai Emeka, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, advisor, Elagoon Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo. Greetings, 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 and salutations, honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Prep Recipes. I am broadcasting with you now live and always an archive at your leisure and convenience. Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagoon Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur. Broadcasting live from this historic, legendary, beautiful, and enchanted city of New Orleans, Louisiana, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, universal, healing, and holistic, evolutionary, and revolutionary from a Pan-African hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. We are brought to you by, sponsored by, promoted by, powered by NONVD, New Orleans National Voodoo Day. And certainly we want to invite each and every one of you under the sound of my voice, guests, visitors, the press, the media, journalists, strong podcasters, and social media savants. We certainly need you all to come and help us to promote our press conference with local and international leaders on voodoo, ancestral heritage, and cultural preservation on Friday, April 4th. This Friday, the press conference will be held at 10:30 a.m. at Cafe Istanbul, 2372 St. Claude Avenue, room 252 on the first floor, New Orleans, Louisiana. Speakers will discuss the spiritual and cultural importance of voodoo, New Orleans National Voodoo Day events, and the role of voodoo in global healing and heritage preservation. We will have featured speakers, our beloved Rosine Pima Sanga, Director of International Relations at the Mayor's Office of New Orleans, Louisiana, Professor Kakpo, Mr. Kakpo, President of Benin's Voodoo community, Mr. Christian Hoshino, Mayor of Ouida, Benin, Nate DeBois, NONVD President, Denise Augustine, NONVD Culture Bearer and our Sacred Storyteller, Lilith Dorsey, NONVD Creative Director and Author, as well as myself. I am the press person, the social media person, the NONVD Administrative Secretary and Culture Bearer. And we again invite you to join us at Cafe Istanbul, 2372 St. Claude Avenue here in New Orleans, Louisiana, 10:30 a.m. sharp. New Orleans National Voodoo Day begins on April 4th with this press conference at Cafe Istanbul, setting the stage for a transformative gathering. We will then meet again on April 5th at Xavier University to host a dynamic symposium on African traditional religions and global healing, alongside an art show, an Afro ecology exhibit, and a children's program introducing young minds to voodoo's cultural richness and dance. The weekend culminates on April 6th with a sacred processional paying homage to the ancestors of the transatlantic slave trade, followed by a powerful voodoo ceremony in Congress Square, bringing together esteemed voodoo practitioners from New Orleans, beginning with the ancestral ceremony at the tree with myself, our beloved siblings from Haiti, and our beloved siblings and family from Ouida, Benin. Press representatives again are invited to attend the press conference and weekend events. Interviews and media coverage opportunities are available upon request. For press inquiries, interview inquiries, please contact me. And you can also send me an email at New Orleans NVD, New Orleans NVD at gmail.com. You can also still visit us at www.vodouday.org. That's voodooday.org, vodouday.org. For more information about sponsoring, donating, participating, volunteering, assisting us with this great and historic endeavor. Again, it is our second year, and we certainly do look forward to meeting each and every one of you and having the community come together for such a powerful and historic, healing, transformative event. I want to thank those who are certainly with me here live in the chat. Greetings, S. Marie, to you and yours as well. Thank you so much for being present with us. To those who are viewing by way of my Facebook pages, my Facebook groups, Tony Val and I's Facebook group, my LinkedIn, my YouTube, my EarthCam page, my website, and anywhere that you choose to copy and paste this YouTube URL or even the StreamYard URL. We certainly invite you to come on in and join us. I also want to open the mic on my beloved and faithful co-host, Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez. How you doing, beloved?
Alafia, everyone out there. I'm doing well, beloved. I'm doing well. Happy to be here tonight. How about yourself?
Well, I was going to say Habaragani. Well, what's the news, as they say?
Oh,
You know, for me, it's right now. All I can really think about is NONVD. We are still filming with the Horn Brothers for our respective Voodoo production. We
yeah,
still
I
have
saw you all out there in the swamp and thing.
yeah. Now that was with our German production team that's here to represent German, and I believe also French PBS. And they wanted to know about haunted USA, and you can't really do a haunted USA without including New Orleans and Louisiana and the swamps somewhere in the telling. So of course Lou Garou out there in them swamps, and the story of Aunt Julia Brown is still popular and favored to be told and retold and re-examined. So I was out filming the PBS broadcast, and they're
I,
still here.
I love seeing the swamp scenes. I spent a lot of time in the swamps as a young child from, say, 5 until 12. And seeing those scenes bring back a lot of memories, but it also makes me think, would I go out there today? I did not know the swamps were that haunted when I was a child. I knew
Yes.
of the Lugaroo and I knew of the Honey Island Swamp Monster. But as a child, I know I seen the fire on the water before, St. Elmo's fire. My mom explained to me what it was. So I just didn't know the swamps was so haunted. And I think I would not go out there today unless I have to. I'm glad I had the experience. I'm glad I know what's what of the swamps. And I know where I could run if I have to. But just to go out there casually, no.
Yeah, my father's family, they lived in the swamp, and so we kind of grew up with the swamp. At least once or twice a year, we would have been in the swamp in the Delta in Mississippi at some point, and it was, of course, with most kids, it was just our playground at the time. We weren't quite aware of, you know, all of its natural dangers. We certainly heard tell of its haunted dangers and other stories that, interestingly, you don't really hear talked about a lot. My family talked a lot about the indigenous and aboriginal inhabitants within the dynamics of the family and the swamp, and things that they learned and did and shared and traded that made surviving in the swamp tenable. They were basically forced off their land and across to the other side of the highway down there in Mississippi by the federal government, who claimed eminent domain due to the land reverting back to its swamp, wetland, natural habitat, only for them to turn it into a more official park, federal park, just for swamping, uh, hunting in the swamp. Certainly, testing in nature, being given access to the swamps for science and global change and global warming. But um, we grew up hearing a great deal about the swamp.
Yeah, I lived the swamp, but I guess it was so common stuff to my mom that she just never really brought up to me about the hauntings and stuff if I didn't ask. Like I asked about St. Elmo's fire, and I was warned about the Lugaroo. And of course, you grow up knowing the natural dangers, the gators, the copper, the moccasins, and all those things that can harm you out there, the wild boars and stuff. But and all the herbs and stuff my mom collected from out there. But the haunted part, I really didn't know that much about.
Mhm.
But I came to find out a lot about it, researching that led me to do research on it and stuff. And I was quite amazed by the stuff I learned, doing my own research. What's going on in the city is basically waiting for the festival, Voodoo Day Fest activities. That's what is being talked about, other than the election that we just defeated, Massa Landry.
Yes,
Ha-
indeed.
We showed up and showed out on that one. He just knew it was a given, but the general news, so much trouble in the world, just so much trouble in the world.
And weather and climate events that are taking place right
Yes, the weather, and the weathermen here in New Orleans suck. They cause a lot of events to be canceled with fake information on the weekends ever since Mardi Gras. A lot of people were disappointed. A lot of people lost a lot of money. So right now here in New Orleans, they're not our favorite part of the newscast.
I
The
wouldn't say it's necessarily fake. I mean, it's hard to predict Mother Nature. It's hard to predict weather. And I think sometimes they do get put in a position, not just the media that reports the weather, but maybe more so municipalities and governments where they have to respond to certain weather in the event of, in the preparation for, these calamities and natural disasters that seem to be happening and hitting on a more regular and frequent basis. So I think they tend to overplay it, maybe overprotect it, oversell it. And yeah, people do, lose money. People do invest in events and planning and whatnot that goes into, these huge events. And they do lose. But, what would we then say if we had these events, and all hell breaks loose? The sky opens up and Yah comes down and touches the ground. And then what?
Well, it looked like with all their fancy equipment, they better use it now before Trump cuts out funding for the Doppler radars and stuff. They could have asked my arthritis if it was gonna rain.
Oh, wow. That's a good point. But there's so many independent people filling those gaps and have been for some time now. I just think that they're going to gain a new level of interest and popularity moving forward. Even here on YouTube, there are many channels where these independent individuals are dedicated primarily to the weather or to the sky or to astrology or, other events that might be happening. I know COVID exposed me to a lot of new channels, new pathways for communication, and for media. I probably got most interested in Al Jazeera during the pandemic, but also learned many African networks from more than one nation: Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, uh, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, just all over, and not always in languages that we struggle to understand either. Often in English, or in a bilingual, or in some cases trilingual platform where you can follow along. If you view YouTube in your Google browser, there's a translator built into the browser that will translate even what's being said in the chat box, on Al Jazeera, not Al Jazeera English, Al Jazeera Arabic. You'll even be able to read and comprehend a great deal of what's being said in the chat box if you use your YouTube channel viewing through the Google browser, allowing you to utilize that Google Translate. I don't know about radio. I've kind of pulled away from radio in the last few years, even when it's
Video killed
available.
the radio.
Yes, indeed.
Another thing that I noticed big on social media is the upcoming gathering of protests on the 5th, which is one of the days that is in the Voodoo Day celebration range. And it's a lot of do we stay or do we go as people of color. And me myself, I'm advocating for people not to go, to stay away from it. I feel they created this mess. Let them clean it up. Let them put in the leg work. We done marched enough. And let's just sit back and play this out. And another reason is all the protests that they seem to have been having around have not really had a lot of people of color. And we all know what happens when too many people of color march. Something happens that we really haven't seen with all these so-called protest marches going on around the city is a police presence.
Hmm.
And I feel that once it's seen that it's a large number of Black people in it, then we will see the police presence, and that will distract and take away from the purpose of the events. that the media will start focusing on those instead of focusing on the people that's out there protesting, the veterans and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm advocating to stay away. Another thing that I find dissettling to me is they snatching people off the street, literally. I don't know what directives ICE has or whatever, but a couple of American citizens that looked Hispanic, that were American citizens, have been snatched off the street, one of them being a 17-year-old boy, without even asking for any kind of identification or nothing. A Canadian actress who has a visa and she was trying to book a flight back to Canada. She got pulled and put in a jail for 12 days, and she swears to this day she don't know why. No one talked to her in the whole 12 days. They couldn't make a phone call. She couldn't get an attorney. She was just gone off the radar with people like, where did she go? She's still not in San Diego. And that's really scary to me because we've
Yeah.
seen this before.
Hmm.
We've
And
seen
this
this before.
response that we're seeing in our community is not random or accidental either. I mean, we've been literally discussing it in the social media spaces since before the elections, since we realized we were going to be confronted with the Orange Menace once again. And certainly the mandate has come down, straight from the top, from the mother goddess, queen mothers themselves, that they were not going to get involved, that they were going to sit this one out. Um, I believe, uh, an action or a lack of action, it can be a reaction, and an action depending on the cause and the nature. Just like I believe a non-vote is a vote, you know, you chose not to vote, so therefore, the cards that we were dealt are the cards that we were dealt. But so too do I believe that the inaction from a large segment of our community will speak volumes again about what we will and will not accept, what we will and will not uh, put up with, and it's having the positive response. I believe that people are going within themselves and their families and their communities, and are identifying necessary resources for survival, necessary resources for moving forward. When one door closes, another door is open. Two, three, four windows, are sometimes open. And so I've never had the luxury of taking a rest, taking a break, not knowing what to do, not responding, not acting. I never had that luxury, from a kid on the street at 14 onward. I had to come up with a solution, an answer, a resource, a connection. And so that carries into my ministry. That certainly carries into my activism and my grassroots activities and the various organizations that I'm involved with, to include NONVD. Uh, Again, this is not, your typical, spring music festival or, art coming together and let's celebrate. But this is a shared sacred space, uh, highlighted shared sacred space, Congo Square, that is now being created even more sacred by the emergence of the, bloodlines and the drum beats and the heartbeats and the rhythms of this Pan African diaspora coming together to celebrate this very Black, very African, very Haitian, very Caribbean, very American voodoo holiday. There's nothing like it anywhere in the world save the parent sibling Voodoo Day and Wida that we hope to emulate in many ways, hope to grow and learn from in many ways. There's no other event quite like this. There's no other city other than New Orleans to have an event of this type. And it's an event that doesn't just begin and end on Voodoo Day, uh, but it's a process for all of us to bring forward, to administrate, to organize, to plan, uh, but also to live out as a part of our collective and individual demonstrations every
Yes,
single day of our reality. Just like a religious folk, we've got to come out the closet. We're not asking anyone to proselytize. We're not asking anyone to carry, voodoo tracks and knock on people's doors and witness. But we are asking people to come out and share among the greater community, share that love, that energy, that ashe, if you will, and let's grow communications. Let's grow relationships. Let's grow business endeavors. Let's grow creative and artistic endeavors from the gathering of so many powerful and knowledgeable people in similar spaces over the course of these 3 days of events. And we are having
yes,
a private event at Gallagher Hall also on Friday, but it is a private event hosted by the mayor in the city. A reception and a greeting and a proclamation between Ouida Benin, the mayor of Ouida Benin, who will be one of our guests, as well as Mr. Kakpo, the lead Babalao, the lead cultural representative, if you will, for Voodoo Day in West Africa. They will be participating on the panel Saturday at the symposium. Mr. Kakpo, Regine Romaine, Suzanne Celeste Delaney Belleville, also known as Mama Zila Moyo, and Zinga Nandi, Dr. Maxime Vignon, Jean Daniel Lafonte, Dr. Greta Vidal, Lilith Dorsey, Sosa Burton, and many others. There is
this is
a
going to be a really big event.
It is, and there will be a live symposium streaming. So if you cannot be here, please go to VODOUDAY, again, voodooday.org, and click on the golden ticket at the top of the page for the New Orleans National Voodoo Day Symposium. There is a donation asked for the streaming fee of $25.63. This will allow you access to these great um, Pan African diasporic scholars and representatives, as well as give you a look into many other things that'll be happening Saturday, April 5th at the symposium. And then, of course, the events in Congo Square at the river, and the actual symposium itself, live and in the flesh, are free. And so we ask you to gather at the river on Sunday, April 6th, beginning with Denise Augustine, a libation and ceremony. Then we will go to certain historic landmarks and markers, beginning with the French market, who sold slaves, the mansion of La Laurie, who tortured and dismembered the enslaved, the marker representing 12 years a slave, who was a free man who was captured and sold into slavery, and many other historic landmarks, and then making your way eventually into Congo Square, where we will have a sacred gathering at the tree to commune and mingle with our ancestors as we open up. We will stop and break for lunch after we've had a lunch from various vendors and food sources in the community. We will then have our formal ceremony conducted by local practitioners, Haitian practitioners and WEDA Benin practitioners with a special closing by Mr. Kakpo from WEDA Benin in Congo Square. I believe that happens at 5. So it'll be a weekend of events. We're really excited. Listen, it's not too late to sponsor. It's not too late to vend. We just ask that you contact us ASAP right away by way of the email link in the website www.voodouday.org, voodooday.org, and we will certainly respond to you in a quick manner so that we can make sure you're on board with us. We still need vendors. We still need other diverse food suppliers. We still need volunteers. And certainly, we appreciate your offerings of flowers, fruits, produce, even meats and cooked foods, delicacies that will be offered for the ancestors at the ancestral tree. We just try and ask that you limit, um, plastic and artificial packaging of sorts, and that we dispose of all trash. But I will have ceramics available for much of the offerings that will be placed and presented at the tree, and we will have other shrine spaces constructed to house some of the offerings that people might want to bring and carry into Congo Square with them. So remember, you have this great procession from the river through the French Quarter to many landmarks, beginning at 9 a.m., culminating in Armstrong Park. So if you come early enough, and I mean 8 a.m., you may be able to bring your offerings to Congo Square so that you don't have to carry them through the procession. But then you would have to quickly make it to the river by 9 a.m. But we will be present from beginning to end in Congo Square to secure the space. There will be public restrooms available, facilities, if you will, security, all the things that you would expect at such a great and fabulous event. And
Wow, that's a lot. And you
yeah,
have your plate is really full with not only um, New Orleans National Voodoo Day, you have a lot of other projects that you're working on. And it's amazing that you make it here
respect the voodoo,
for 9
no matter
o'clock.
what you do. Yeah, respect the voodoo, no matter what you do.
Yeah,
I take no glory in it, or it's the voodoo. Otherwise, I couldn't do what I do at the pace of what I do, and keep moving forward. It is a lot, and it doesn't end Sunday after the end of this event. It continues on Monday. I'll be filming all day Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So it's a lot. It can be overwhelming to my human nature, but it's very edifying to my spirit nature. So I keep moving forward.
yes, yes. Well, I definitely can't wait till Sunday for myself because that's when I'll be able to attend that Sunday bright and early, 8 o'clock.
And while it's on the tip of my tongue, let me air this promo for this weekend's activities, and we will be forward again momentarily. All is a blessing. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Today is the inaugural first National New Orleans Voodoo Day here in the beloved, enchanted, legendary historic city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Right now, the participants are making a bit of a symbolic journey from the ports at the river where the slaves would have been disembarked.
Middle Passage averaged more than 60 days and thousands perished from causes ranging from malnutrition, scurvy, and other diseases to the violent suppression on board rebellious ships. Those who did survive were often unloaded here along the banks of the Mississippi River. In 1808, the United States banned the international slave trade, though illegal shipment of Africans to Louisiana continued, with the last documented slave ship, the Phoenix, arriving in New Orleans in 1830. This marker was commissioned by the New Orleans Committee to erect markers on the slave trade, and I honor them for doing that. Asé?
Yeah.
This land needs a lot of reciprocity, and we are asking the guards to continue to walk with us so we can learn the ways, we can teach the ways, and we can heal ourselves. Asé? Asé. We move on to the French markers.
There was no good slave master. There is no good plantation. They're all death camps. What happened is two very horrific things. One is that they started capturing and stealing free people like Solomon Northup and shipping them down here, actually stealing people who had been set free.
Solomon Northup, 12 years a slave, located in the Faubourg Marigny, from the corner of Esplanade Avenue and Chart Street, extending to Carleck Street, is the former site of the Theophilus Freeman's notorious slave pen, demolished after the Civil War, where Solomon Northup, a free man of color from New York, was sold into slavery in 1841.
And it took him over a decade to get back to his family.
What's worse than that is they set up breeding camps. Breeding human beings so a young girl at the second menses of her life would be put in a breeding camp and raped to produce babies to be sold in the domestic slave trade. She was raped till her body gave out and she could no longer produce. These are the horrors of the domestic slave trade. So once you got here, you have never been safe. And so I declare these spirits free. We are going to heal this land. We're going to recognize and we're going to repair and give healing to these spirits and these people who were never safe on this land. Asé? Asé. 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 Asé.
And I think what's important, not to only honor his memory, is to remember that he survived all of that and he did get back with his family. So even though there might be a rainy day, we have that Aida Wedo rainbow coming through to us, don't we? Right on, Asé. So we're gonna pour the offering, and I just wanna say thank you again for everybody who made this day possible.
Greetings, everyone. I am Voodoo Chief, the Divine Prince. This is our ancestral tree. Some say this tree is between 600 and 700 years old. So even before the enslaved population were allowed to gather here on Sundays to drum, to dance, to feed themselves, this space was already sacred ground. The indigenous population celebrated corn festivals on this ground. So it is indeed sacred. It is indeed a spot that we continue to honor our ancestors. If you brought flowers, offerings, liquor, anything for the ancestors, you'll have an opportunity to come up individually if you would like and speak your wishes into the tree, pray to your ancestors, call on those who came before you. The one thing all of us in this group have in common is ancestors. We all had someone who came before us, our great mothers, and before us, our great fathers. And it is on those shoulders that we all stand. It doesn't mean that some of us don't have complicated relationships with our relatives, and certainly some of those who've passed on. But there are indeed those in your bloodline who stand up to support you, to defend you, to protect you, to bring correction to those things that maybe have happened in the past, to bring balance to those generational curses. I ask my ancestors every day for peace. Peace in my own heart, my own mind, my own life, but certainly peace in the world. There's a lot of warring going on right now over ideology, religion. We all have an obligation to do what we can do within our sacred spaces. And the first and foremost thing I offer is to call on your ancestors. Our ancestors are our front line of defense. This is not just voodoo. Certainly, we've always known that the dead and the ancestors never leave us. But science now supports us that ancestral memory survives in the blood. So often our sense of flavor, hot, cold, spicy, sweet, is often fueled by our ancestral memory, even before our earthly experience with a particular thing. So our ancestors are our frontline defense. They're there with us in every human endeavor. And I offer you to connect with them, to share with them, to invite them in, and to do so here at the tree. Beautiful mommy Wata to the center post this year. Beautiful. Yes, there will be a third piece, a third bundle added to that center post display on April 6th. It will be dedicated to Mommy Wata. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Are you still with me, Sister Tony?
Yeah,
Can y'all hear
I'm
me?
still here.
Oh, okay.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah, those were shots from last year. We do have some newer promos that we got in rotation. There'll be another one at the very end of the show tonight. And I want to remind you all, listen, now is the time, now is the season. Almost no matter where you are in the U.S., spring is upon us. It's beginning to warm up. This is the time to check your local farmers, your local produce wholesalers. If you must, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, your gardening centers, and really begin to plant those herbs, those fruits, those vegetables regionally based on where you are. Choose those hardy plants that will survive the conditions of the climate where you live, and really began now that it's beginning to warm up. Almost my entire garden is in pots. So even during the course of my move back in October, I was able to carry my trees, my blueberry trees and my kumquat trees with me, and my potted herbs uh, graduated mostly to those gardening bags just for their transportability and their convenience, and keeping one herb separated from another and not quite as much weeding. So I love to keep my garden in controllable pot environments where I can host a variety of edibles and herbs. What do you have, Val? What do you have?
You breaking up. What did you say, Prince?
What do you have in the ground?
Ah, you breaking up real bad.
I said, what do you have in the ground?
Oh, I have sage. I have, oh my goodness, I have a lot of stuff that's potted in outside in plants, um, in pots. Uh, rosemary. Uh, I can't even think of all the stuff that's back there because some of it has been back there and it dies out and it comes back on its own.
Yes.
Peppermint. Uh, a lot of wandering Jew. That's in the ground. But for renters, I, like yourself, would suggest those bags so that you can move your larger items such as your trees and stuff that you really keep every year. It's easier, and you don't want to put those in the ground at a place that you rent. So the planting bags are real good.
The planting bags also make harvesting certain type of roots, like potatoes, like
Yes,
ginger, like turmeric. Make it
carrots.
easy, yeah, carrots to access the roots without disturbing the tops, and vice versa. A strong garden foundation is ginger, turmeric, any variety of peppermints. Just remember to keep them, your mint plants, separate, or the flavors and scents will begin to cross mix, and you don't necessarily want that. If you got peppermint and you want to keep it distinct from water mint or other type of mints,
Yes.
separated.
I have a lot of stuff. I have lavender. I have a lot of stuff in my yard that's meant to deter mosquitoes and flies because I did a lot of backyard entertaining and I wanted to deter the pests naturally.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, they tend not to like what the most fragrant plants.
Well, they don't like
I have
the
rosemary. I have citronella.
yes, the
Those are some common.
citronella. I have
Mhm.
that planted back there somewhere. I really have been neglecting my garden over the winter, and I haven't gotten back out there to start setting it up. I don't do anything with my yard until after Easter. Those words of my mom's echoes because the weather is so funny in March and the beginning of April. And mom used to always say, don't plant nothing, until after Easter that couldn't withstand some extreme cold at the time. So I'll get to it and get it all straight and it'll be right. Like you said, it's springtime. I have a lot of aloe vera. I have a lot of aloe vera in my front and in my back.
And
And
there's certain herbs that'll take over your yard if you're not careful.
yeah,
Aloe vera is one. That purple heart wandering Jew is another. They'll take over your yard if you're not careful. And yes,
yes,
guys,
they
it's
will
true.
take over your yard.
You can use the bags on your balcony. You just probably have to be conscious of how much weight you may be keeping and the condition of the balcony, in the
Yeah.
building where you are.
But I'll be getting into it. I see the stores are starting to put out the young plants. Um, I may do some tomatoes. I didn't have good luck with tomatoes generally. Um, I need to plant flowers that attract bees for the pollination.
Welcome to my yard. I don't have a shortage
Huh?
of bees. Welcome to my yard. I don't have a shortage of bees or butterflies in my yard.
Oh, well, I have a neighbor and she does the butterfly gardens. So I don't have a shortage of butterflies in the front, but they never make it over those wooden privacy fences to my backyard. So,
And it may be all my flowering trees. The certainly the blueberries flower a lot,
yeah.
and give off a sweet small pink flower. I have 4 different type of kumquat, so they each flower at a different time of the year. They each bear fruit at a different time of the year. So that also keeps certain insects, including um, bees and other pollinators, in my yard a lot. I think that has a great deal to do with it. And then certainly your fragrant herbs and your flowering herbs should also draw bees to your area.
As Marie says, it's tomato, herbs, and pepper time. Yeah, I had them pepper bushes. I have a lot of pepper seeds too. I have those pepper bushes that we make our own hot sauce with, where we stick the peppers in a empty bottle with vinegar and just let them set. Those hot peppers.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a nice ghost pepper tree, and
Oh.
and the weather killed it.
Oh.
And I have not been able to replace it as of yet. Hopefully, I'll get a good pepper tree this year. And I also am trying to find a good milletone
Ooh, child.
so I can grow my own milletone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some work. That's something that'll take over your yard.
The milletone?
Oh yes, it will run like kudzu. They even
Uh,
kin to kudzu,
yes, indeed.
and they
Well,
will
maybe,
take over your yard
well,
and
maybe I
choke
have to
out
keep that out
things.
in nature.
Well,
I
if
might have to
you,
cultivate that in nature somewhere.
yeah, cucumbers are good. If you have a fence to grow along a chain link fence, cucumbers are very good, and they're not as they don't grow as fast. The vines are not as hard to manage as the mirlitone. I spent a lot of my time as a child what my mama called training the vine. Get up there and train that vine. That means make it run away from the way it's trying to run on its own, make it go another way. So, but they are so good.
Yeah, they can be if you know what to do with them and you know how to cook them. They can
Yeah,
be.
yes, they are.
So we got about
I
5
didn't,
minutes left in the show, beloved. And
Yes.
before we get too far along, I just, again want to remind people to follow us at www.vodouday.org for more details and information about this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday is our press conference, and then our private gathering at Gallier Hall. Then on Saturday is the symposium with the Afro Ecological Show, the youth dance and arts component. I believe there'll be electronics, some kind of video games there for age appropriate young people, as well as the powerful symposium of academic representation of voodoo uh, globally, worldwide. And then on Sunday, meet us indeed at the Moonwalk to begin our sacred procession through the French Quarter back to Congo Square, where I will meet you at the tree and hold our ancestral ceremony. We will then have lunch and then re gather again for our voodoo ceremony, which will go on until 5 p.m. when Mr. Kakpo and others from Ouida Benin will have a special closing ceremony for us on that day. And I certainly look forward to joining you all here again tomorrow night, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, for more revolutionary hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes with my beloved co-host, Sister Tony Val Martinez. We certainly invite your
You're
conversation.
going out again, but
We
we'll
certainly
be here
invite.
tomorrow night and we will answer your questions, or you could come up with the subject you would like to know about, answer your questions regarding New Orleans National Voodoo Day, or anything else you might want to discuss. It's an open forum, a place to gather, a place to share.
Thank you, Sister Tony Val, for that. And
Hey, Daniel Neal, thank you for coming. We love you too. I don't know what
are you
happened
unable to hear
on the
me?
Divine Princess end with
You
his
can't hear
mic,
me at all? Hello,
but I
testing.
would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And we're looking forward to seeing you at National Voodoo Day. If you can attend. Hi, Nina Lloyd. Thank you for joining.